1, 2. All right, and we are live.
Hello, what's up? What's up?
Welcome to the FiberCast.
Thank you for having me, bro. What's up?
Again, just like I was telling Victor, this whole process is very new, kind of still. So we spent like an hour trying to set this thing up.
About an hour.
At least an hour. He came through after work. Were you at work?
No. I was actually at the gym.
Working out.
Literally just finished going in the gym.
All right. So you exercise the body. Now it's time to exercise the mind and try to get.
We're gonna practice something a little bit.
All right.
That's about it.
And just like you were talking before the show about the whole UFC fight.
Yeah.
About the whole 5-second kick or some shit.
Man, that was awesome.
I don't know how you do it with the whole names, like knowing every athlete's name and shit.
I'm a pretty big fan. So
because you're a fan of the UFC.
Dude, I've been watching it for a while, so it really blows my mind. Like, every fight is just amazing. The technicality that they use is fucking unbelievable.
What's it about UFC that kind of attracts you to it, I guess? Like, what's the underlying factor that just pulls you in?
Well, I don't know. It's just the whole combat, the whole toe-to-toe thing. It's amazing. And being able to use all your limbs it's a different thing. It's not like boxing where you could only use your fist. You could use everything. Well, except for, I'll say, poking eyes and stuff like that. But everything else
and
counts.
Kicking the balls or whatever, genitals and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such to me, it's always been such an abstract thing. It's not abstract, but it's just fascinating to me. It's like how are we, I don't know,
how are we able to move like that? How are we able to just find spots where we could damage
vulnerables and everything? And it's all about tactics and all. I saw Joe Rogan analyzing the fight or kind of explaining what he thought about it, and he said that, again, I'm horrible with names, so I'm just gonna pull up their names real quick because then we can actually reference them.
Okay.
So what's one of the guys' name at least?
Are you talking about the knee?
Yeah.
Oh, so that's Ben Askren.
Ben Askren.
Yeah, right. Ben Askren.
So Ben Askren. So he fought
George Masvidal, man.
Masvidal.
5-second knockout.
That's
new record,
insane.
Man. He just beat Conor McGregor's record.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Joe Rogan said that there are videos of George Masvidal kind of training that move.
Yeah, he was practicing.
So he was practicing that move. Why? Yeah. Because he knew, I guess his strategy was Ben always tries to grapple you or throw you to the ground,
He's
right?
a wrestler. What do you expect,
So he kind of feinted it too, I think. I forget how he explained it specifically, but he said that he kind of feinted it, knowing that he would go for the legs and try to grab it, so he would lower his body, and then that gives you the right opportunity to do the flying knee kick.
I mean, I've seen a couple of Ben Askren fights, and literally he starts a fight just like that. Like he wants to hug you. Yeah.
Oh, so because he's the bear hugger.
So he was like, okay, so if you're gonna hug me, I'm gonna throw a knee. Damn. And he didn't even expect to knock him out. To be honest, he even said it at the post-fight interview.
Isn't that weird though? Like a guy who's known for that move, and speaking on Ben Askren, he's known for grappling and taking you to the ground as soon as possible. So wouldn't you think that he would kind of condition himself and think all right, so my enemies can probably use this against me and stuff. How did he not foresee a move like that?
I don't know. I just think
wouldn't you?
It's kind of like the old saying, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. So he was like, hey, it's gotten me this far. So I'm going to just keep trying to do the same thing. But now he's going to have to switch that game plan. It's not going to work the same no more, man.
Otherwise he's just going to fucking have to quit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, and to me also, just UFC and the whole idea of you putting two people in an arena and then having this audience watch these two guys just beat the living shit out of each other.
Serious, bro. It's insane.
It's literally as old as the human as old as we are. Violence has always been.
Yeah, I mean the gladiators used to do it all the time back in the barbaric days.
Rome.
Yeah,
Colosseums.
So we're just bringing it into the mainstream, into the new lights, basically. It's a new generation. So now we can get to put gloves on. It's a little more humane, I guess you could say. Speaking
of gloves, have you heard about the bare knuckle bare knuckle tournament? I saw a documentary on that.
Holy crap.
That shit's crazy, yo.
That's
insane.
That makes UFC looks PG.
Dude, what?
That makes UFC look PG, man. That was insane. Artem Lodovov, he fought
See, how do you know all these names? So
dude,
that's crazy.
I'm telling you, I'm a big fan of fighting, bro. I'm really big fan of fighting.
Bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
MMA great Ken Shamrock starts
Yep.
bare knuckle boxing promotion. And they're getting like the big names, like the big hitters and stuff, and trying
Dude,
to
they got
convert them onto the
Paulie
side.
Malignaggi, I think it's his name. He's a champ boxer. He's a champion boxer.
Damn.
He's insane.
Jesus Christ.
He's insane.
So do you think that there's going to be, obviously there's going to be, a set of rules, like you can't, I don't know, tear someone's eyeballs out, right?
Yeah.
Out the socket of,
I think they're trying to keep their fighters alive still, so it'll be
so they can make more money.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, I believe you're just not allowed to like poke eyes and throw kicks or anything like that on bare knuckle. I'm not too sure, but I think that's what it is.
In my opinion, like, I think that bare knuckle boxing will actually be I don't know, because I've been thinking about this in a sense where, do you think that the fact that it's bare knuckle boxing, people will be more strategic and they'll be more tactical in a sense? Because if you think about it, like bare knuckles, like you like the person throwing the punch also gets hurt, right? So it's kind of like each punch has to count. So maybe you're gonna reserve yourself and you're gonna be more strategic and more, I guess, thoughtful with your maneuvers and your strategy going in, as opposed to UFC or actual boxing where you have 16-ounce gloves and everything. Yep. So it's kind of it's padded. Not having anything, like just your bare knuckles. It's just kind of
I think it's probably gonna evolve in a while.
It's gonna evolve. I think
they're gonna start thinking a little smarter. It's just getting started, so they're gonna be sloppy people going into it. So I think overall it's just like UFC. When UFC started, it was kind of the same way.
Yeah, isn't that ironic though? How the more primordial something gets, the more, I guess, advancements come from it, because you're bare knuckle boxing, but just like you said, it's going to advance because of that. So the technology and padding and all of this thing, all of these
probably
things.
Even the mouthpieces. People are getting their teeth knocked out, man.
That's crazy, man.
People are getting their teeth knocked out. So I'm pretty sure they're probably going to change up the mouthpiece. Or something's going to go on, yeah. It's a little brutal right now, and I think it's not gonna keep the fighters keep wanting to do this, So
that's another thing, right? It's like how much
can you take?
How much money can you use to motivate someone? I feel like there's probably a certain threshold, a certain limit where you get to, and it's kind of like, hey, you're literally risking your life more so than you would in the UFC. And so how much money are you willing to gain in comparison to a prospective loss? You know what I mean?
I don't know, man. At that point, I think it's like, if you love this, like if you really love to beat up on somebody or get your face beat up, is that really what brings happiness to you? You know what I mean? At that point, at least.
Yeah.
I don't think any money would buy me to get my face beat up like that.
Me neither.
That's insane. That's insane.
It's just like you're just beating on the only capsule that you have is your body, right? And this whole experience is like, how are you gonna just sacrifice it like that? And not to mention all of the cognitive and psychological damages that comes with that, like brain damage, CTE, all that stuff.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I do get entertained though. It's just it's very entertaining. I have nothing against it. Nothing against the people that actually love to do that. Yeah. It's not my cup of tea to actually try to go and fight somebody,
And it's just an innate, I guess, human thing. It's like we love violence. We love to see blood. We love to see.
Yeah, we do.
And more so nowadays with like all of this technology and social media and just this fast-paced rhythm that we're all immersed in, people, I feel, need a escape valve. Like they need escapism. So escapism is just one of the main things. So that's why you see people getting into drugs or getting addicted to, I don't know, like betting, gambling, sports even. So even those very fanatic people who love their team and would die for their team, it's that people want, for example, let's say that I'm a New York Giants diehard fan, right? And you're a New York Jets, whatever.
It will set basically boundaries. It'll be kind of like a religion, like
it's like a religion.
Yeah, like you like that team, so I can't associate with you.
Yeah, like we wouldn't be having this conversation because your rational self is it gets overridden is that a word? Overridden.
Overridden.
Ridden.
Yeah.
It gets overridden by you're just emotional, and it's just. But people need something to be able to die for, because if you look back into our history as a species, like we've always been at war. We've always been, it's tribalism. It's always like
we've always had, I say desire and greed. That's always has driven us. As a human race. There's ways, to combat that. If you make yourself aware enough to do that. But that's just human nature, basically. Like it's
just a part of it.
Yeah,
it's just a part of existence.
Yep, just like everything, just like happiness, just like being angry, whatever.
Yeah,
it's what it is.
Do you know that ex UFC fighter? He never really like blew up or anything crazy. Brendan Schaub.
Yeah.
Brendan Schaub. So he's a comedian now, right? So
he just started doing stand up now. Yeah.
He stopped fighting and he became a comedian, and he's friends with Joe Rogan and everything, and he's actually very successful. He had a Showtime
podcast,
yeah, and he recently had a Showtime special. So he's like doing big things. And he speaks openly about his whole experience with the UFC and just how he got to a point in his life in that career that he just stopped and asked himself, like, what am I doing?
Yeah, like
with myself, with my body, with my brain. And he got knocked out. I forget which fight it was, but he got knocked out pretty bad. It was a big major fight.
It was. Yeah.
I'll actually Google it real quick. So he got knocked out during a fight. And it was at that moment that it kind of clicked to him. It's like, it's just not worth it. And then he just got into comedy. And then it's so weird how he went from from fighting to comedy,
What I think what really influenced him was Joe Rogan, to be honest.
100%. Yeah. And he was probably pals with him before the fact, and then he saw what Joe Rogan managed to achieve. It's like, but Joe Rogan has everything connected still. He has all the screws, all the knobs or whatever. All right, so it was
Travis Brown.
December 8th, 2014.
Wow.
By knockout.
5 years, man.
Yeah, knockout.
That is OD.
Is there a video of that we can see?
Definitely should be a video.
UFC 203, it says.
Yeah, Travis Brown versus...
Travis Brown. So let's bring this up. And he went on a podcast. I forgot which podcast it was. I'll also Google that after this.
I think what happened was after this fight, to be honest, Joe Rogan literally spoke to him on his podcast, telling him that he should reconsider why why he's fighting in the UFC.
Yeah.
Like he really told him, you're really not that good to win a belt. And he's like, I really think now,
That's true.
He really broke it down cold to him.
So he saved his life, essentially.
Yeah, to be honest, dude, he wasn't even going to be in the rankings.
Yeah.
He's just...
All right.
He was just a good prospect. I'll leave it like that.
He was a good prospect. But he even admitted that himself. He said exactly what you just said, that I would never reach Conor McGregor levels or anything like that.
Maybe with the talking, but not with the action.
That's
the problem.
It's just there's a lot of other aspects that come into play, like environment, come up, DNA, genetics, everything comes into play.
Yeah, to be honest.
So it's all an accumulation. He said that it was very fast too. So let me just fast forward real quick. The video. For those of you listening, we're just analyzing Brendan Schaub's
Put it
last
like
fight.
Almost in the middle. It should be.
Yeah, this shit's... I don't know why it's taking this long. All right,
there you go.
All right, so they start out. I've never seen him fight, and it's so weird to see him fight because
he moves. I don't know.
I'm just so used to seeing him as a comedian and as a podcaster.
Yeah.
He's a hilarious guy. Like he's, great at what he does now, but I've never really watched a fight of his before.
Yeah.
And essentially, according to him, he was doing all of this to make his dad proud, which is something that a lot of people kind of get lost in, right? Like people, for example, you'll go to college and endure that, those years of studying to get a degree in something that you hate just to make your mom smile or some shit.
Basically,
like that,
I feel like people are too... It goes back to the same thing. It's like greed and selfishness,
Yeah.
It's like when you're greedy and you're very selfish, like you just want to make how do I say this, everything as much as you can yours. So by doing that, you're gonna be disappointed all the time because not everything will go your way. So you're just gonna get into the
illusion,
into the fear of okay, I have to maybe do what my parents say because da 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 da, or if I don't do this, this is gonna happen. Like I already know the outcome because they're already greedy. They're just too close-minded to be like, okay, no, there's different ways that we could look at this.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's always like how do I say this? It's always a big paradox. It's always a big paradox when you're like that, because when you're like that, you're usually just very rational. You're not thinking of different opportunities or different avenues of how to take something.
Yeah.
You're mainly just focusing on, okay, if it's this way, I don't want to do it, and that's it. You're just closing it out if it's just not the way you want it. Yeah, straight-minded, basically. Well, not straight-minded.
Narrow-minded.
Yeah, narrow-minded. There we go. That's it. Yeah.
And not to mention that, especially parents, like parents tend to project their shortcomings, right? So let's say that your mom like her dream. For example, I'll use myself as an example. My mom, she had a very rough upbringing, right? She came from a very impoverished household. Never really had much, like lived on a farm or whatever. Okay. 7 siblings. So, so she came from that reality. And so since she never really had much, when she finally established herself as an adult and she started, establishing her own life and getting her own shit together, and then I was born, and then, so she basically, I guess, she came from a good place in a sense where I know that all she really wanted was for me to get the best I could out of life because she wasn't able to do it and she wasn't presented the opportunities. Okay. So she always wanted me to be a doctor, right? A plastic surgeon or whatever. So that has always been her dream, quote unquote. But that's just her projecting the fact that she never had that opportunity or she never really saw that around her. Yeah. So she wants to be able to give that to her, kids. But today, she's totally cool about the fact that, that's not happening because of the whole Fiber Fitness thing. And now she realized. So she accepted the fact that I'm on a different route. But it takes some time. It's
always like that, man.
It's always like that until you prove them wrong, right?
Of course. Yeah. Once they start seeing that you're actually showing, a little bit of result, they don't want to see, they don't want to see you. How do I say this?
On the couch every single day.
Yeah, they don't want you to say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," and then next thing you know, you're playing video games, or you're doing, or you're hanging out with your friends and doing nothing, or it's worthless at that point. You're making no point. Yeah, you're making no sense. So. Yeah, you can't just say you're gonna do something and not do it. I just believe in that, And I've been I've actually made a couple mistakes, but a bunch of mistakes where I've said, what I've said, I was gonna do something and I don't do it, and that's totally fine. That's human. That's you being a human being, basically. Yep. But I just feel like you have to hold yourself accountable a little more, and then the more you hold yourself accountable, the more successful I think you'll be able to get.
That's probably a skill set that you develop over time, right? Accountability, self-accountability. So it's one thing for you to have. It's one thing for you to have a system where you're immersed in and you're reliant on your parents to always checking in on you, always making sure that you're doing your chores and stuff. And then once you
don't become accountable to nothing,
you need to teach your kids accountability. I feel like.
Exactly. You should just keep them accountable. I feel like too many parents are here, they're just pampering their kids to do a lot of things. Even my parents, to be honest, I think I felt like they have pampered me in some way, But I just made that self-awareness that way. I just, that's not the right way, If I ever live on my own, it will be, I have to take care of everything. So might as well start now. Yep.
And it's interesting that we get to that topic, to that topic because earlier I saw this do you know a guy called Patrick let me just pull up his Instagram real quick. Basically it's this very successful entrepreneur that I follow. He posted a picture with his kids and he kind of attached a very valuable life lesson to future parents or whatever out there. What's his last name?
Patrick.
Because I'm on the Fiber Fitness Instagram, so let me go on mine, and then let me go to my followers. No, not followers. I'm following. Is there a way for me to search it?
Go all the way up, is there? No.
No.
Oh, God.
Damn it. All right, hold on. Let me just put Patrick Bet. I think it's Bet.
Bay.
There we go. Bet David right there.
Patrick Bet.
All right, so essentially.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of this guy. He was in the military.
Yeah.
He's an entrepreneur now.
So let me get my glasses because I'm kind of blind.
Okay.
All right, so basically he posted a picture with his 2 kids, right? And then his caption reads, "My oldest son, Daddy, someone told me we're rich. Is that true?" And then he responds, "Your mother and daddy may have a few Benjamins, but you got some accumulating to do. What you see in this picture is my 2 sons with an Xbox console. My oldest son has been asking for one for 3 years since every one of his friends in school has one." He kind of misspelled a few things. "One day he comes home saying, 'One of my friends told me that his daddy, me, is rich. If your daddy's rich, why doesn't he just buy you video games?' I was so looking forward to this conversation. Sometimes society expects parents who have money to buy their kids everything. I can count on one hand how many toys I bought my oldest son the first 3 years of his life. I'm a firm believer that kids get credit for 80% of what they do in their lives, good or bad, and parents get 20% of the credit. I believe God handpicks parents for us as well as children for parents to raise. I'm grateful for my 3 little ones I have. The question I constantly ask myself is what habits I would like to see them have once they're no longer under my roof. One of the main habits I'd like to pass down is the gift of learning. This is a gift I picked up at the age of 21, and I'd like them to have a 16-year advantage over me. The Xbox in the picture is a byproduct of my oldest finishing multiple 200-page books and answering questions about each book every time he finished a chapter. The topics vary from history to technology to entertainment. Life is all about standards. The lower the standards you set, the lower the target. The higher the standard, the higher the target. Disclaimer, I care much less about grade or results. They get rather the effort and determination they put in. Scores can be misleading, but great habits last a lifetime."
Dude, that's a great message.
So that to me, like I really, 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 really value that message and that teaching, because that's essentially to me the way to go about raising a kid in terms of rewarding them with something.
Yeah.
So obviously those kids, like they're probably like 6 years old, 6, 5, they're obviously not gonna go out on the streets or work or whatever and get a job. But they're putting in effort and kind of earning those things.
Yeah, like he's basically teaching them, like, hey, look, like this is how long it's going to take you to obtain something. He was reading multiple 200-page books
about entertainment, technology, art.
Like that's insane. My parents, they would just want to see a good report card, and I'll guess
mine too.
Seriously,
mine too. And I love how he also touches on like the importance of grades and numbers.
Yeah, he says that doesn't matter.
It doesn't fucking matter.
He's saying that as long as they still are willing to learn, like that's all they need.
Put in the effort.
Yeah,
the effort is all that counts.
Yeah.
And speaking of school, what's your opinion on college and everything? Like, what's your experience on college? Like, are you in college right now? Have you?
Well, not right now. Not at the moment. No. I actually skipped last semester, and I might just skip this one too. I'm not too sure if I was actually gonna do that, but I just feel like, just like the rapper X did, rapper X. He said basically, if you're not gonna go to school to be a doctor, if you're not gonna be a teacher, if you're not gonna be anything that requires school, basically, why would you be going to school?
Yep.
You could learn without going to school. It's just like you could preach, or you could
buy books.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, of course, bro. You could even you could believe in God without going to church.
Yeah.
So why can't you educate yourself without going to school? Yeah. And I don't even believe that college actually it doesn't. It's not my definition of education. You know what I mean? Yeah. They just educate you enough for you to be able to go work for somebody else.
Yeah.
They don't educate you on finances. They don't talk about financial literacy. They don't talk about when you get out of here, what you should do, what was the plan. I mean, you do have these college experience classes, but they don't really tell you anything about real life. So it's just, I just feel like I said, if you're not going to be a doctor, if you're not going to be a teacher, if you're not going to be anything that requires school,
then just save your money and just start
don't waste your time
yourself.
and find your passion.
Yeah.
That's it. I
agree wholeheartedly. And I also think, just like you said, it's they tend to regurgitate information. So, college to me, like my experience with the college wasn't the best because one of the main reasons as to why I dropped out was one day I just saw my professor. Like he was literally, he had the textbook open and he was just reading off of the textbook and kind of regurgitating that information and just kind of reading out loud. So you would ask him a question and he would kind of, avoid it or kind of, find ways to look on page, box, text box, whatever, will explain that more in depth. It's like, why are you here then? Like I can read for myself.
The only class I actually enjoy was math because you actually kind of like the teacher actually has to solve something on the board.
And you follow that.
It just can't be an example, I like math, but every other class I just feel like you said, it's just them. What is it called? What is that word? Regurgitating, basically.
Regurgitating that
exactly
information.
what they're. That's what they're doing.
Yeah,
that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and just like you said as well, if you're not aspiring to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything that actually, needs a degree for, then why the fuck are you there? It's like, just go do your own shit.
Yeah,
just start a social media account.
Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that have talent, man, and they're just suppressed by like what everybody says. Like seriously, like they just don't want to give it a shot, and it literally all it takes just one thing, like you just doing it, like literally get up and be like, okay, let me just change it today, let me just do it.
But all of that derives from passion, right? And another thing that I don't think school teaches you is how to curate and find your inner passion and your inner calling.
Absolutely. One thing school doesn't teach you is how to look inside yourself and say, what truly makes me happy?
Yeah.
Like, that is insane.
They have these predefined boxes that have worked, and just...
I don't think it works. I just think that's just the norm. So
it's just been accepted.
Exactly. It's just the norm. So if you like people that tend to stay away from guys, how do I say it? People that like to stay away from just the social construct of what we're living in. Like the way everybody goes out, the way everybody, doing the mainstream thing, that's the hip thing to do, I guess.
Yeah.
Once you start trying to deviate yourself from that or get away from that type of situation, you look that kind of weird. So it might get you anxious. It might, it might make you feel sad. But to be honest, I just feel like those are the people that are trying to free themselves from the system. That's how I look at it. I look at it like they're gonna find happiness if they keep that up. So.
Yeah. And one of the main, I guess, advocates for what you just said is probably Kanye West. Right?
Yeah.
Recently, he got off his meds. He was being sedated. He was being he literally said that he stopped taking his medicine because it was affecting and suppressing his creative endeavors.
Yeah, dude. It really does have, it's not healthy.
I feel like that's what all of society now is. It's just a bunch of people trying to suppress the person next to them because they lack that purpose or that drive or that, I guess, initiative of just taking action and just doing shit themselves. So if you told me...
to fear.
It all comes down to fear.
Agreed.
So if
they just don't want to see the next man get it.
Yeah. So if you told me that, hey, I'm prepping for this competition and I'm going to go on stage next week. And let's say that I'm
going to support 100%. At least what I could do, I'm going to do as much as I can.
But not everybody's like that. And actually 90% of people aren't like that. Like those few that actually support wholeheartedly with no, expectations behind, like, oh, I'm going to support him because if he wins, then he gets a check for $50,000 and I'm going to be there. Hey, yo, remember I was supporting you, whatever, my bill or my apartment, whatever.
And in Spanish, like at least where I come from, that's called lambón.
Lambón.
That means that, you like to dick ride, basically.
Yeah.
As soon as
just
somebody
feed
catches
off of
a
other
wave,
people.
As soon as somebody catches a wave, that's how they feel. But
all of history, everybody that we admire, I feel, went through that necessary phase of just being viewed as fucking weird and just fucking crazy and insane. We were talking about Elon Musk before this podcast started and how his interview with Joe Rogan, like he was acting weird and just the way that, but and then people say like, oh, he's a robot, he's an alien, because people don't put in the effort to understand that.
Yeah.
You know, so
they don't understand the way his mind works, man. It's just like imagine you talking like you per se talking to me right now and thinking of 3 or 4 different things at once. You know what I mean?
All going inside your mind.
You just still have to focus in the conversation. That's just
and that's how he said
man.
His brain works, right? He said he never gets an escape from it. So that's probably even more insane.
Yeah. Imagine trying to keep conversation with people while
your brain is just always thinking about ideas flowing, calculations. His mind must be just insane, like fascinating.
I feel like it is.
And then people, instead of trying to understand that and have a conversation about it, people are so quick to they'll look at a complex idea and they'll dumb it down.
What happens to be honest, it's just everybody is what do I say? How do I say it? Everybody's ignorant. Everybody's ignorance gets them mad. So whatever they don't understand, whatever they're not at the moment right there, if they're not intelligent enough to grasp it and be like, oh, okay, so this is what it is, they just get mad on, oh, this is this because of that. You know what I mean? They don't understand. They have no context. They can't even put themselves in that perspective to look at it.
Because of ego.
Ego, yes, and it takes a lot of intellectuality. Like you got to be really
empathy.
You have to be aware of yourself.
Empathetic and stuff. I do believe that the first step to maturity is to be able to develop an insane level of empathy. Yeah, it's like I spoke on this on, I guess, every past episode almost, because it is a recurring thing that has to be said, and I feel like I need to talk about it because people don't hear this enough. It's put yourself in other people's shoes. Like, try to understand someone instead of brushing them off as being a certain way. And especially now with social media, you'll go on someone's profile, like this guy. Yeah. You'll look at all these pictures, and maybe he has pictures with Ferraris, Lamborghinis. And then in your head, you already start formulating an idea of his character, an idea to associate with this face, right? Yep. So if you're a type of person who, just like you said, is ignorant and just thrives off of ignorance and just lives off of it, you'll just look at his face and realize that he has all these followers and that he's ethnic.
Like, he probably just, he's Arabic, so he probably just got that money from his
oil money, stuff, family money or stuff, whatever. But then you start, and then if you're
he's a fraud or this and that,
he's a fraud, just like a Ty Lopez or whatever,
Yeah. What do you think about that guy?
Where do I start?
Do you really think he has that house? Do you really think he has
Ty Lopez? I spoke on this before. I think I kind of just like brushed on it, but essentially what I think about Ty Lopez is he is smart in what he managed to do. I feel like he's smart in a sense where he took advantage of social media when it was at its primordial phase.
That's the only ad I would see on YouTube.
Yeah, it's like, here in my garage or whatever, Lamborghinis. You want a Lamborghini? Dude, whatever, follow my program or whatever.
Like that.
So what I think he managed to do was he read some books. He doesn't read every single book that's out there. I think that's complete and utter bullshit. He's actually a part of this company called MentorBox, which I find kind of unsettling in a sense where basically their whole business model is they package, I guess they give you 1 book or 2 books or 3 books, similar to these self-help books or whatever, business savvy books, psychology, these like mainstream, like good books, classics. And then with those books, they'll give you a summary kind of each book and kind of like give you a outline of like each chapter or whatever. So it's basically someone read it and then they got the main key points and then they printed it out and then they'll give it to you.
So that's the book.
It's a subscription service. So you'll get it every single month and then you get like 1 book or 2 books or whatever. Okay. But okay, so I guess my whole thing with him is he knows psychology very well. He understands the human brain. He understands basic human behavior. So what he managed to do was he associated wealth, luxury, success, and all of the trappings that define it. So Rolls Royce, Lamborghinis, cars, women, beautiful women, houses, luxurious stuff. And he showed you that end goal, and he gave you a viable, accessible route to achieve that goal, which is knowledge, books.
Really?
Knowledge.
Like what everybody else says. Yo, that's exactly what it is right there.
You want a Lamborghini? You can do it. All you got to do is read books. And
read my book.
He talks about books so much that he's now associated with a company that he has, equity in, and he's making money off of the idea of being able to, hey, like you want to be successful, just read, Extreme Ownership and you'll be a billionaire or whatever. So that's my biggest pet peeve with him. And also, just going a little bit deeper, again, basing off of his intellect on and just his knowledge on just human behavior and psychology, he managed to convince a group of investors that are never seen, always behind the scenes, always pulling strings and stuff, and to convince them to build a business off of his brand.
Yeah.
So he was like, guys, trust me on this, invest $1 million. Let's get a house in LA, whatever, in the hills, Beverly Hills. And that house is probably an investment from one of the members of that group.
That's what I feel, dude, because he was in a garage at first. He would not show anything.
Like, how do you get from 0 to 100 so quick like that? By reading books? Like, are you fucking serious?
I just feel like he had a mentor, and the mentor told him, okay, this is the steps.
Wealthy
with no money, literally.
And then he came across wealthy people who had some money to invest, and then he gave them this idea, explained it to them. Yep. And if you go on YouTube, there's various YouTubers who kind of break down his whole schemes and tactics. Every video is kind of advertising a certain product or whatever, so he gets capital off of each view. So it's very but he understood how to get people's attention and how to create that perception of accessibility. Like get the most thing, like get everything that we prize, that we want, and everybody aspires. Like
desire,
the definition of success.
The desire.
Rolls Royce, beautiful women, whatever. And then a
lot of desperate people out there. They want to just get rich quick. It's not that simple.
There's a lot of that.
It's not that simple
out there now. It's just perception, man. I keep saying I can't express that enough. Like you can invest $6,000 in a luxurious Airbnb and have that be your life now.
Yep.
On social media, it's like one picture positioned in the right angle, right lighting, right people around. You can pay people, pay models. You can do anything you want. There's Craigslist.
To be honest, nowadays, you could literally pull anything off like that.
And it's, that's where the danger stems from. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have this podcast, actually. It's kind of like it breaks that stigma. It breaks that barrier.
To be honest, yeah.
So, for example, let's just say, right, I'm sitting down with Ty Lopez.
Okay.
If Ty Lopez ever went onto the Joe Rogan Experience, which I think he hasn't gone because of that.
I don't know. I'm not too sure.
I don't think he ever went on there. And one of my... Actually...
Look it up, yeah. Let me see.
Let's just Google it. Because if he did, then I'm going to watch that episode as soon as we finish here, because I've never...
I know Gary Vee went up there.
Gary Vee, yeah, for sure. But Joe Rogan, I don't... Ty Lopez... I don't think Joe would even have him on, to be honest, because he kind of smells that shit from a mile away. Is Ty Lopez $1 million scam artist? So he was on...
Wow, cool.
So he was on Logan Paul's thing. Joe should have Ty Lopez. Yeah, so Joe Rogan hasn't had him on yet.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, so I feel like if Ty Lopez went on the Joe Rogan Experience and had a conversation for 2 to 3 hours, that facade that you put on, it eventually gives off, dude. Like, there's no way that you can sustain that.
Yeah.
You can sustain that for the first 30 minutes, maybe, if you're really good at it, you know?
Yep.
But eventually, you'll start, like, your mask will, give off subtle cracks, and you'll start peeping, and then it'll start leaking out.
It's always subtle reminders, basically, or subtle things that'll throw it off,
But that's my opinion on Ty. And Ty Lopez kind of encapsulates everything that's wrong with social media nowadays, to me. I
feel like there's a lot of them. There's a lot of him. There's a lot of him out there. So
but he inspired most of them, right? Kind of, or no?
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's out of my topic at that point.
Yeah.
So it might have, like that one Korean dude.
Oh,
that one Korean dude that be driving around in a
Bentley.
Bro, it's insane. I just don't feel. I don't know, man. Not a lot of people can relate to that. So you putting yourself in that high of a altitude is kind of like, all right, like it's too good to be true at this point. Yeah. At least if you're smart enough, you'll be like, okay, at least it's too good to be true. Like, come on.
Do you know the real estate agent? He's fairly famous. Ryan Serhant with the white hair.
Is that from Tycoon Real Estate or something like
He
that?
was from the $1 Million Listing. I'll just pull him up real quick.
No, let me see.
So I follow him, and he's actually like real, and he's authentic and everything. Like I really fuck with his content, and he's really good at what he does too. So, all right, hold on, Ryan, this guy. So Ryan Serhant, he's based in New York City. He has his own like real estate firm. Very successful. You know, he's the top real estate seller in the world.
Wow.
One of the top ones. And so basically he also has a YouTube channel. And on his YouTube channel, he visited that Asian guy's house. And you could tell that it's like he's not the only one that lives there.
Oh.
And so you would see people, and then he would refer to, like, this is where we have our meetings, or this is where we all hang out. So there's always a we, right? But the whole genius behind that is, like, you get one key player, you put him in a spotlight, and then everybody else is in the shadows, and then you give that key player all the tools he needs, all of the objects, and then create the perception, reel people in, and sell them your plan.
Yep. That's another thing about ignorance too, man.
Yeah.
If you're ignorant to things like that, you're just gonna get trapped, man.
It's so easy to
You
get
gotta
trapped
be aware.
nowadays.
You gotta be woke.
It's everywhere. Everywhere you look, stay like woke. You can easily stay woke, and that's why I fucking wanted to start this podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, like people need to hear new ideas, like not just
To be honest.
what they listen in music or what they listen on the news, if they even watch the news.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel like the news is just corrupting the fuck out of people right now, man.
the news makes it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It makes it way worse.
and most people don't really even read nowadays anymore, too. Or do you think they do? Because like most people I meet, at least, well, it depends.
It's hard now.
It depends on the circle that you're in.
Yeah,
kind of, you
yeah.
know?
It's just hard now, especially if you're not a student. You're not gonna be wasting your time, picking up a book unless you actually like to read at night.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just feel like we're just so busy now. Everybody's so busy now that we're not gonna have the time. So that's why they made audiobooks now and things like that. So it makes it a lot simpler. You can be at work and listening to this thing.
Podcasts
That's what I do.
too. And stuff,
Podcasts too. If there's people out there that are making really good podcasts, especially like this show is bomb.
Oh, appreciate it.
I got you.
Yeah.
No, this is bomb, seriously, because it gets in depth with everybody, especially if you're local, if you're in the area as of now. You want to get to know these.
You're curious.
Different, you want to get to know these different personalities, different personalities.
Yeah.
So it gets to show a little bit of light into that. So it's dope. It's a dope thing.
And I also believe that because just like I told you before we started the podcast, I'm just fascinated by people.
Yeah.
Right. And one thing that I've been thinking about, I think I started thinking about this yesterday for some reason. I don't consider myself to be, it's funny because I'm very reserved. I'm kind of an introvert. But what happens is I like to say that I'm a anti-social people person. So that's a weird term that I just made up. I guess it was yesterday. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, I'm anti-social in a sense of like social media and just wanting to be there all the time and wanting to portray like that plasticity does not have any appeal to me.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I even want to address this on this podcast, that I've realized there's something that happens to me where I can't really explain it. I'll have DMs, I'll have like 20 DMs and stuff, and I just can't respond to them. I just can't open an inbox and have a conversation through text. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah,
and people will take it wrong. Like people will think that I'm egotistic. People will think that he's too good to respond.
Oh, that's just your focus on different things. That's it. People just put their focus on things that really don't have any value to it. You know. I just feel like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's easier to let things be. You know, to just post and just, all right, I'm not even gonna look at it. That's what I do. Because if you're just constantly there, you're just gonna torture yourself. Seriously. Yeah. Like I would post maybe 3 or 4. Well, yeah, maybe 3 times a week. Maybe at most, I'll post 3 times a week, and that's just so I don't have to deal with that. Seriously.
And think about it.
Yeah, I'll post on my story here and there, because that's just I work out. So I like to just show that, I like to show people different things, different ideas on how to be able to work out.
Yep.
So I just do that once in a while whenever I can, but I just don't be on it too long because it's just draining, bro.
It consumes you.
Yeah,
it drains your soul, and you become, dude. I can't.
I've seen it firsthand. So,
and to me, it's just very superficial. So, for example, this podcast. That's why I prefer to sit down with you and have like a 2-hour conversation, right? So that way, that's a real connection as opposed to like texting. It's
different at this point. Yeah.
Even voice memos. I send voice memos for a reason because that's the closest thing I have to actually communicating with someone. And through voice memos, I'm able to give off my intonation, like how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
You'll know if I'm pissed off at you. You'll know if I'm happy, if I'm excited, if I'm tired. It just...
You're just putting flavor basically into the words.
Realness.
Yeah. Shout out to DJ Flavor.
DJ Flavor sponsor this podcast. Amongst like all of this superficiality, man, like, it just, I can't.
To be honest,
I can't. Yeah. So this podcast to me is kind of an escape valve. I also like to say this. So actually, sorry, just finishing off that train of thought. So it's antisocial media. But I'm a people person. I love people. I love engaging, talking. Like I'm fascinated. For example, I'm fascinated about.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean. Yeah.
I'm fascinated about your mindset, for example, on like the whole fitness thing. And we've discussed this before, where you're so passionate and so channeled in that you don't really rely on stimulants. You don't really rely. I
just try not to.
But you've gotten to the point that you've gotten to without having to like rely on it, right? So. That's just like a subtle example, but your fuel is passion, right? So you're passionate about what you do, and that is very clear to anyone who goes on your page. Like they can clearly tell that you're passionate about it.
It's a different energy. I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I post. The post. Yeah, there might be a little. I don't know, over the top sometimes, but that's literally just me. Like I don't put on any weird person. It's just literally me like that. I like taking pictures like that because I love how in the old school era they used to do this. In the golden era they used to take pictures this way,
posing and everything.
So that's what I try to emulate basically,
and try to like bring it back.
Yeah, of course. And then I put a little piece of my mind basically in each post, which I don't know if everybody gets to read the paragraph, but.
Well,
I just try. I don't know.
The people who are actually, interested and like that's another thing too that I've been, because obviously getting into the whole fitness industry, you have to account for the whole social media aspect. Yeah. And that's
a big part of it.
Paradox of my life. Like that's been the biggest paradox ever because I have to be present, especially now with this show. I have to be on social media. I have to post. I have to post. And
just look at it as fun, though. Don't even look at it. That's what I try to do.
It's hard to me, man.
It's just
hard.
I don't know. All right. Life is a game.
Yeah.
Life is a game, and you choose the character. You know what I mean?
Okay.
You literally choose the character. Every day you wake up, you choose to be whatever you wanted to be. If you want to be an angry motherfucker all day long and say, whoever talks to me for the wrong way the first time, I'm gonna pop them. If you go with that mindset, you're literally gonna be an angry person and throw that energy out to everybody. So that day they're going to be like, well, he must have been angry. Now, if you keep doing it repetitively, it's going to be like he's an angry person.
That becomes you. Yeah.
So now if you say, no, I want to do this instead. I want to be, I don't know.
Peaceful.
Yes. Or goal-oriented, whatever goal you want to do. So let's say you want to be a basketball player. You practice that. If you don't have the genetics, of course, you're not going to get to it. But if you have the desire and the passion, you're going to be better than what you thought you could have been. Or at least get to the,
to your highest level in that realm.
The peak of you, basically, the better you in that position, that version.
Yeah.
So I just feel like you should just have fun. Just have fun. And find your passion. Yeah, bro. If this is your passion, you should just hold yourself accountable for it. Say, hey, this is my thing. This is my passion. So I'm just going to keep doing everything I have to do for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everything comes with sacrifices.
And not have a filter.
Yeah.
Right?
Not have a
just post. If you feel like posting something, post it.
No, I do use filters. I am big on editing.
No.
Yeah.
Filters. I mean, as in like filter of like criticism.
Oh yeah.
Of like filtering your expression. To kind of abide to other people's standards. That's the thing I hate the most about social media.
Yeah, dude.
Look. If I had to tell you right now why it is that I have this very bad relationship with social media. It's mainly because of that. It's because I have a personality where if I want to go on my stories right now and give my opinion on what I think about Christianity, I should be able to fucking do that. And then some people, but it's going to be problematic.
We are in a system, bro. This is the Matrix. We have been thought.
Shit just got deep right now.
Yeah,
He
man,
just mentioned the Matrix conversation. Just
we're just living in an era where a lot of things look real.
Yeah.
Too real to the point that everybody gets offended by it. So if you don't believe in, let's say, Christianity, and you want to speak your piece on why you think that's not the right, how do I say it, the right idea, whoever's Christian, whoever's deeply, into that religion, they're gonna hate you. They're gonna think that you're with the devil, or you're, this and that. So I just feel like you just gotta stay open-minded to everything. I just feel like this is a game. This is a big game. This is a thing where you could pick and choose what you want to believe in and what you don't want to believe in.
Yeah.
What really brings, warmth to your heart and what doesn't even interest you.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's like that.
Having an open mind is the number one thing I think to
always
get to anywhere, especially nowadays, But again, it comes down to the whole, it comes down to the whole thing of like getting a complex idea, abstract thought, and then trying to dumb it down to make it more easily digestible for you.
It's hard though, man. It's just sometimes. That's what I do a lot. I do that a lot. I do try to dumb it down because it's just sometimes it's really hard to be able to speak that into existence, basically. So sometimes it'll be in your head, but you'll be like, wait, is that really gonna sound? Is that really gonna be able to is everybody gonna get that? Is everybody gonna understand exactly what I said?
Yeah.
It's like talking less, but but meaning more at the same time.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it is.
It's striving to be understood
by the general mass,
but not necessarily accepted.
Yeah.
So that's what I aspire to do.
That's where it becomes controversial.
So if you don't fuck with me, to me, that's more of a compliment than it is an insult.
Yeah,
because that means that I kind of stimulated you to formulate your own opinion.
Yeah.
So in some shape or form, my ideology has an influence on yours. And I've managed to, even in
you managed to get in their head in a way.
In a way, and not in a malevolent way, like, I'm gonna get in his head or whatever. Like, like, he doesn't like me, I still fucking... No. It's just, I'm happy that I was able to stimulate your thinking process, rather than going back to the whole fitness industry and realm on social media. You'll search up fitness hashtag, whatever. What'll pop up is just a bunch of, like similar videos and similar pieces of content, and it's all repeated. It's all, Control C, Control V. It's all copy paste. It's all.
Well, some of it is systematic, I'd say. It's just you have to put your own flavor onto it.
You have to add your personality.
It's a template, Yeah, they give you a template. Every social media, I say, celebrity out there is now a template to everybody aspiring to be that. So you could just look at that and be like, wow, like look at the way he just laid out his whole profile. All right, now how can I take this and make it basically with my own personality, So that's just what it is. It's just a lot of people look at it like, oh no, he's just copying this person. No, well look exactly what he's doing. Is he posting everything that he's posting? Is he doing a chest day when he's doing a chest? Like, is he doing this and that? You know what I mean? Just put your own flavor into it. Just have fun with it. Like literally, it's just having fun with it. Yeah. Because if you're looking at it into like as in
obligation, as something
like
that's
an obligation, like
forced.
Oh no, I gotta be this way. You know what I mean? Then it's not.
Then you'll be miserable.
Yep.
And the quality of your content will suffer because of that.
Exactly.
But the way that you just portrayed it is probably the best way that that I've heard anybody like kind of put it, a template.
It's a template, man.
That's perfect because that's what it is.
It's literally it, man. It's literally it.
And the idea of original content, original thought is kind of something, it's kind of an illusion, I feel like, because there is no such thing.
There is no such thing as original thought. I mean, unless I create something innovating. That's the only way, like something that nobody has ever seen before. But even at then, it'll still be a mix of everything that has been...
That came before it. So it's a huge paradox. It's a huge.
It's a cycle, man. It's a cycle of endless discovery, basically.
Because, for example, Joe Rogan said once that he was inspired by what's a famous radio personality? Howard Stern. Howard Stern.
Yeah.
So he was inspired by Howard Stern.
Yeah.
And the irony of Joe Rogan now being more relevant in modern day society than his idol or a person that he inspired off of, is crazy to me. But he didn't. Again, the podcast was not an original idea. It was something that was available. He took advantage of it, and he created and formulated something unique, something that was his. So his initial podcast episodes was literally him on his laptop in 2001, sitting on a sofa with his friends. Yep. The camera was his webcam,
Wow. I didn't get that far into that, no. Wow, that's crazy.
That was one of the first episodes, and I'm actually going to pull it up. And so everybody starts somewhere. And that's another thing that everybody just doesn't understand. Like,
they
bro,
want to fake it till they make it, basically.
Bro,
that's how it is.
The guy or girl that you follow, that you idolize or that you admire so dearly, they did not fall on top of the mountain. And that's actually my next art piece. It's one that talks about like the man on top of the mountain did not fall there.
He got there.
You have to fucking climb it, dude.
Yep.
Like climb it. Like.
Yep.
But it's easy for you to forget that because you see Joe Rogan now. You see Christian Guzman now. You see Christian Guzman with a beautiful girlfriend, amazing friends, amazing life, traveling and stuff. Again, I say amazing, but I say it very cautiously because that's what he portrays.
I just don't think is aspiring at that point. Like when people are trying to fake it, I guess they're just envying something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they're envying it so much that they just want to emulate it. They know they can't get it, so they're going to emulate it as much as they can.
And then criticize and try to break it down too.
Yep.
So that's another problem. All right, so hold on, guys. If you're listening to this, we're pulling up the Joe Rogan Experience.
But I feel like when you start doing it out of true passion, out of love,
then it becomes yours in a sense, and you create something
at
out
that
of
point.
it.
It becomes your thing.
All right. Well, this one doesn't. Oh, here. Yeah. So these were. So as you can tell.
Wow.
Joe Rogan Experience number 1, guys. That's what we're pulling up right now, and this is literally a time capsule. So 2013, actually, it's actually more recent than I thought.
Dude, that's insane.
Look at that.
Out of a fucking webcam, bro.
With snow effects falling. He had no idea what the fuck he was doing. Twitter.com, JoeRogan.net.
Make me what? Make me hair?
Make me hard.
What the?
Or some shit because he's a comedian. I don't know. Dude. But see, like this, like back in the day, he still uploaded a 2-hour video of him just engaging with his followers,
crap.
I guess.
Yeah, hold on. Let me use the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, I'm going to pause real quick because I'm going to have to use it too. I was kind of holding it in real quick. Hold up. All right, guys. Hold on. We'll be right back.
How do I say this? Every influencer that I've met personally is like...
They kind of shy away from it.
Yeah, they kind of shy away from this topic.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And we're already rolling.
I know.
So guys, we took a quick bathroom break, but now we're back.
What's up?
Before the break, we were discussing original ideas, and I kind of want to segue into something that is strongly related to that. And what I mean by that is this. Have you ever heard about the stoned ape theory?
The stoned ape theory. Well, that's basically when the... I think I heard it in Joe Rogan's show. Yeah. He spoke about how these premature, like human specimens, they basically were minding, walking around the forest, whatever, and they picked up some mushrooms. They ate it, and that's basically what gave them these different types of
perspectives and outlooks.
and visions and this and that, and then they were able to tap into different places in their mind. Yeah.
Just like basically open new pathways. Neural pathways.
Yeah. I've kind of had my own little experiences with those things.
Yeah. So to me, it's just I kind of associate that because again, original thought, right?
Yeah.
it's very rare. I don't think that's a real thing. I think that you base everything off of the person that came before you.
Yep.
Unless we stem down to the first human being to ever have existed. Like they obviously had to start from, ground zero, but then the next human being already had him to use as an example, as like a,
I feel like that ties down your ancestry. It's just like that.
So I was listening to a podcast earlier, a TED Talk actually, and they were discussing the whole idea of using psychoactive induced treatment therapy, basically using psychoactive substances as
so like
tools,
weed and stuff like that. Yeah,
weed, MDMA, ecstasy.
Yeah.
What's the name of that mushroom? I think it's called
psilocybin
mushrooms, DMT, ayahuasca,
man.
all that stuff. Yeah, so I was listening to that, and to me, it's just fascinating how, like, some states now they're actually legalizing the use.
Yep, Colorado is the first one.
Colorado was the first state to legalize the use of that as a treatment.
I'm definitely gonna go down there. That's definitely
gonna go down there and check it out.
Yep, definitely gonna go on there. That's what I'm saying. But that's definitely something that's gonna really, really benefit everybody. Like I feel like, especially, how do I put this in the most simplest terms? We're gonna kind of just touch waters with this.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it answers a lot of like self. How do I say self problems? Like there's everybody creates a little problem in their head. Everybody has times when they're just negative and they're just thinking negative of everything they do is negative.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that kind of gives you clarity on what's really going on in your life, puts you in a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So you're able to just see things for what it is and not like you in it. You know what I mean? And that, I feel like it's really going to help a lot of people just see things without having their ego, I guess, attached to it. You know what I mean? Like it makes everything so much clearer, and it helps you just basically find yourself and get real intuitive with your inner, with your soul. So I feel like it's going to be very beneficial, yeah.
And you had experience with it, right? Personal experience?
Yeah, I would say a couple times, yeah. Well, yeah, mushrooms, a little bit of LSD, weed, things like that. Yeah. Never into the deepest stuff, but
DMT, ayahuasca, all that stuff. That's heavy duty stuff.
Yeah. I feel like I'm still a couple years behind, so I can't
have to build up to that, right?
I feel like a lot of meditation and a lot of
introspection.
You have to really know who you are. I feel like those are things like especially a couple of experiences I've had. They really make you lose yourself. Yeah. So you have to really know yourself, especially coming back. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I'm really, really sensitive to these stuff. So it doesn't take much. So you have to just really, really pay attention while you're in this. Not to the point that it's like oh my God, like it's excited. You can't be excited or aroused. You have to just let things happen and let things just flow. Yeah, and that's what I learned out of it the most, to be honest.
Because I've heard stories of people who, just like you said, they go, but they never really come back. Yeah. So they kind of lose. Again, not knowing yourself and not having a firm understanding will allow you to kind of lose yourself completely or lose parts of yourself, and then that person comes back like he's not all there anymore.
I mean, you will lose yourself in a way.
You will kind of ego, right?
Yeah. There's a lot of things that strip off. Like it just shows you a lot of things that. I don't know how to say, like in the real world, you will not be able to see per se. You know, it makes your mind a little more creative, a little more imaginatory. A word, I don't know. Imaginatory. Sorry, there we go. Makes everything a lot more visual. So
basically, just to the people listening and watching this, this is some information that I picked up on that podcast, and basically just to. Add some science to everything that you just said. Yep. What happens with psychoactive drugs is that they diminish and they kind of reduce the activity in the default brain network, which is the part that's responsible for curating your ego. So that's where, literally, that's where the sense of self comes from. So scientists have observed people who are under that substance, and that part of the brain, the activity just almost diminishes to almost zero. Yeah. And that allows you to not put yourself first. And observe things, observe your surroundings, observe others.
Takes away you, man.
Takes away you from the equation.
From that, yeah.
And
a couple hours.
The best analogy that they used is when I think his name is Copernicus and Galileo, when they first were using the telescope to find out that the sun does not revolve around the Earth, right? Mm-hmm. And then some people speculate that they had some experience with psychoactive and psychedelic mushrooms and stuff, because at the time religion was force feeding the idea that human beings are the center of the universe because we're God's creation, right? So everything revolves around the Earth. Then once you take the ego, and that's just the most amazing analogy to me, because you're literally using planets. So it's like Earth. What's Earth? It's full of humans full of ego. So once you take the ego out,
we're just one other thing I made a real big realization from, and I think I told you about this too. We're so little to the size of the universe, man. Like,
100%.
Like, all right, so imagine an ant, right? Mm-hmm. An ant, for it to be the size of you, like it takes 400 million ants to fill up a human body, like to make it.
I didn't know that.
Like it's that crazy. So how little are we to other bigger things? You know, there's like the sun is how many Earths can fit in a sun?
Let's find out.
You know what I mean? Yeah, look that up.
How many? All right, guys, let me Google this. How many suns? No, how many Earths? Right?
Yeah, Earths can fit in the sun.
Fit in the sun. Let's see. 1,300,000 planet Earths.
Okay. Now,
Jesus.
How many other universes are there? How many other, like the
Stars.
Milky Way is really small when you look at a picture of that. Like, at least, I don't know. There might be CGI, but I'm not into those conspiracies right now.
Yeah.
But, dude, we're just so infinite. Yeah. So why not try to shine like a star? You know, like there's billions of stars in the air, you know? And it's just, I just feel like no matter what we do, it's still going to be minute to the size of the universe.
Yeah, we're just literally grains of sand on this immense, infinite beach.
Yeah, so why not have fun? Life. Why not, do what you really desire to do? Like, or we're so small, but yet we have such a big mind. Like, we could really, or at least, there...
In our perspective or in our understanding. Yeah.
We have our own type of world in our head. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everybody's perspective is a little different. You know, we project and we project and receive, basically.
Everybody's a protagonist of their own movie.
Yep, exactly. And then two movies that clash together, basically. There's a lot of movies that clash. So that's how it is. I feel like everybody is in their own movie. And there's different characters in the movie, but nobody understands that.
Because nobody has that same movie.
Yes, because nobody can see, like, I can't see what you're seeing right now. Yeah. And you can't see what I'm seeing right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You could kind of have the idea. You could kind of try to put yourself in that perspective, but no matter what, you will never see what I see.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like you should really take advantage. Like
of this gift that you've been given, of this weird experience, of this thing that we call existence.
There's 3 trillion. I think that's what it is. 3 trillion sperm cells that come out of a orgasm, right, and ejaculation, whatever. Yeah. And we're the one sperm cell that made it through, bro.
Like watch. Like, what are the odds? What are the odds
of you being alive or something?
Of you being born. Yeah. Of you being born.
Yeah.
I think it's 1 in 400 trillion, dude. Jesus Christ. So saying that you're one of one is kind of an understatement.
Dude, it's crazy. Well, yes, I feel like there is different versions of you everywhere.
Yeah.
But not one of them has the same perspective. You cannot, it's just impossible to replicate it. Like, you have to really understand that you cannot see what everybody, like what other persons see, unless they make the technology for it.
Yeah, and they're getting close to that with the whole like neuro technology that they're gonna like implant shit in your brain, and they'll be able to like replicate images of like your thoughts. We're gonna get to a point where they're gonna be able to replicate on a big screen your thoughts. So your imagination.
Just take some psychedelics.
Maybe cheaper, easier, quicker.
Yeah,
it's now available.
Probably not quicker, but
yeah.
At least you'll see it.
No, yeah, but what you just said now just it just sums up everything that we've discussed on this podcast. And just to wrap things up, because I know that you have shit to do. And guys,
I gotta work
if you're
tomorrow.
listening, if you're watching this right now, it's 11:45. But So essentially now to just finish it off, this is something that I ask every single guest that comes on here. Staring into that camera, you now have the opportunity to speak to every human being on this planet. Every human has an earpiece plugged in right now that's translated to the language that they understand. And the words that you're going to utter into this microphone is going to be translated. They're going to understand it. And you have this opportunity now to speak and say something. It could be anything. It could be follow me on the gram. It could be a motivational quote, a tip, personal, anything you want to utter into this microphone right now and communicate to the entire human species. What would you tell them looking into that microphone? What would you tell them? It's just you and them now. You're on stage.
I would just say, just really look inside of you and really find what makes you happy. Like really try to envision what makes you happy and just go for that. Like just forget about everything else. Forget about what everybody else thinks of you. Forget about, what you think is important to you. Find what you really, really feel like makes you happy and just go for that. Just go for that and things will fall in place, I guarantee you. And that's about it. Oh, and follow me on the gram. Aesthetic Vic _ I got you.
That's it.
That's about it.
Just do it. Just
That's
fucking
it.
do
Just
it.
fucking do it.
Just don't think
Just have
about
fun,
it. Just
yeah.
don't overthink it.
Just have fun. And, just learn from your mistakes too. Always try to learn from mistakes and practice what you preach.
And
That's
be
it.
empathetic and learn from others as well. Right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. That's about it.
All right, guys. So with that, we are ending episode number
13, I think.
13.
Right?
13 FiberCast.
Ooh.
Thank you for
And
coming
it's on Friday.
Yeah. And it's on Friday.
No, it's not Friday.
Wait.
No, it's not.
Wait.
Tuesday. Shit.
Wait. Today's Tuesday. I was
just
like,
thought it is
Friday?
on Friday.
Today's
Yeah,
Friday?
yeah.
What? So thank you for coming on. Thank you for taking the time.
Bro.
for
Thank
coming
you
out
for
here.
actually putting me out there and putting me in the spotlight, man. I really, really appreciate it.
And just like we said, we'll have to do a part 2 because we have a lot of things that we still need to discuss.
Too much.
There's too much. So
Too much.
a 10-hour episode coming soon. So yeah, guys,
Hey,
thank
that'll
you.
be actually pretty dope, to be honest. I got a lot to talk about.
I could just buy a bigger memory card and we'll make it happen.
Man.
That's it. All right, we're out. Thank you.